Garage Talk. It's like a regular episode of Tim's Enthusiast Garage, but it's just me and my garage talking. On today's episode of Garage Talk, it's going to be a little bit of a hybrid. We're going to be in the garage and out of the garage as I pick up my 1964 Avanti. Studebaker, famous American automotive brand, mostly renowned. By the time the 60s, late 50s and early 60s rolled around, financially they weren't doing the best. The Avanti sort of was this stab at sort of greatness. For a brief minute, the Avanti Supercharged that this vehicle was one of the fastest cars on the planet. But what I want to really talk about today on Garage Talk is not so much the Avanti itself. That's going to be the focus of a full episode where I talk about the Avanti. What it's more about is sort of piggybacking off of a recent episode where I talked about sort of picking the car and then going after it. And what I kind of envision today's episode as is the hunt. Once you've identified the car and once you have a target in mind, the hunt isn't over. So in other words, you've already done your homework on potentially the brand or the type of car or even the specific model of car. But I'm talking about the specific car. In this circumstance, this car came up and kind of got really excited about the car. Avantis don't come up very often. The later sort of revival Avantis do with the square headlights, but the original Studebaker Avantis don't come up that often. And this one really excited me. When we went to see the car, it was apparent that the car had not run in probably a decade, maybe more. So at that point, we started to do the next sort of part of what the hunt is. And that is where we're sort of looking at the car really critically to see, what does this car need? Does it need body work? Is there rust? Is the frame gone? Does the engine turn freely? And so after assessing that the engine turned freely, but that the gas in the tank was essentially turpentine at this point, I felt like I knew my way around the car and I kind of knew what I was looking at. And that can take a little bit of time or a lot of time. It really depends on what kind of car you're looking at, and it depends on what the circumstances are in which you find the car. This car had been in a dry, what I would consider to be semi-heated garage. It was an attached garage that was off the side of a house with no heat of its own, but it was probably 10 or so degrees, maybe 15 degrees above ambient in the colder months and probably 10 or so degrees below ambient in the warmer months. So right there, you're kind of already off to a pretty good start. Once I sort of ascertained what the condition of the car was, then it was time to go on to, what does this person want for the car? What are their expectations in terms of the value of the car? What do they hope to get for the car? What are they trying to sell the car for? In this case, the car was marketed pretty high, probably about half of what the best example would sell for. And this car was not the best example, and this car was also not in the best condition. So this was nowhere near that. What I'd say the next part of the hunt is the waiting game or time. I think you need to spend some time away from the car for a couple reasons. One, I think you need to sort of get your maybe you're really into the car and you're really stoked about picking up this car, but you kind of have to step back and say, will this car be the collectible that I hope it is, either for the collection or for the flip? Like, does this car actually have the value that I think that it has? Because you get real misty-eyed when you're looking at a car a lot of times. I know I do. It gives you a chance for that mist to sort of fade and you to say, yeah, this thing, it needs a lot of work. Next thing that I think is really important in this waiting period is sort of finding the partners that you need. So that's, you're going to need photography of the car. Are you going to need physical repair of the car? If it's got rust, who's going to do these things? Are you going to do it? If so, what are the parts you need? And build that sort of dossier of what's that process going to look like. Does this car need an oil change and a fender painted, or is this like a restoration? What's the timeline of the project? I know I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble where you've probably heard the saying, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. I think a lot of times, sort of like when you get to that place and you're like, ooh, this is going to be a great meal. But then you're like, oh, I can't even eat half of this. Same thing with a project like my Lotus Esprit project that many of you are familiar with. That ended up being way more than what I had envisioned. I had bit off way more than I could chew there. This is the time to sort of assess that, and I have not been critical enough in the past about that, so this is a good time to be critical about that. Once you have a good plan in place for how can you make the car what you want it to be, how can you realize your goals with the car, then it's time to make a real offer. And then again, with that, I think you make the offer. If the offer is not accepted, it's not really so much a matter of playing hardball. It's you really need to be within like 5 or 6% of whatever the number is you throw out. Whether that number is $500 or $50,000, you need to be sure about that number. And once you've done your research and you've done your thinking and contemplation, if you set the number at, say, 10 grand, it really needs to be 10 grand. Not because you're being necessarily hard to deal with, but just because that's the number. And then you go get the car. And then once you've got the car, really you need to start that process of bringing it to where it needs to be pretty quickly. All of us probably have a little bit of a tendency to be a hoarder. I know I do, and it's nothing to end up with 5 or 6 cars that maybe aren't in running conditions sitting around, and those don't do anyone any good. So I really think that the next part of this is like getting right onto the process of completion. That's my overview of how things should go and how they did go with this Avanti. I'll now show you the Avanti and the process there. Pickup of the day is this 63 Avanti Supercharged. Pretty rare car. The original Avanti was a Studebaker. This car was a single owner for its entire life. I'm rescuing it, I guess is the right word, with my friend Tim here, and going to be taking it over to see another friend. The gas in the tank is pretty nasty, and unfortunately it was detailed by not who you want to detail your car, and they used a non-appropriate product on the they probably thought it was leather, but it's vinyl, and you can see it needs a real good detail. It's pretty yucky in here, but very cool car. Gonna be going on Bring a Trailer hopefully before the end of the year. This is a car that sort of was a dream car, particularly of my oldest son, Ethan. But you know, with the way the times and the economy are right now, I think it makes most sense. Say hi, Tim. Say hello.
Hello.
Oh, Tim's famous now. He's famous. Famous Tim.
Yeah, another Tim.
Yes, but yeah, so this is the experience of the day. Really sad that this car didn't end up being loved by the family. It just sat for years and years along with his house here. Very cool house to go with the can't really tell from this elevation, but it's on the water and kind of a cool location. But yeah, so there's the Avanti. Ran when parked like 9 years ago. So hopefully the wizard Michael will be able to make it run as it should, and go from there. So yay. Well, while I was yapping and running my mouth, Tim was strapping. So
Yapping and strapping.
Get some more footage here. So lots of little, kind of elderly owner type of thing. I actually love these magnesium wheels. Those are gonna stay for sure. One cool thing about this car, other than the patina, the ample patina, is that it came with a very cool lineage. So this whole manual, and then what's even cooler, this full bills, letters that this guy wrote to Studebaker factory that were answered by Studebaker. Just very cool stuff. His handwriting on might be a 63 or 64, but I don't know, just it's kind of sad in a way to see cars that are this loved and was clearly loved sort of forlorn by the owner's family. But so if you've got a aging father or someone in your family, mother, brother, sister, that's got cool cars, find out about them. Don't let them sit. It's just a shame to see it come to this, and I think it's sad. I know it's sad. At least it hadn't started in at least 10 years. So, and he was a dedicated Ohio State President's Club, which I'll probably leave those stickers on the car, even though I usually take that stuff off. Cool thing, and yeah. Thanks, Tim. Oh, what a guy. And just like that, we unloaded the Avanti at my friend Michael's, where he will do ingenious things. Is this the most beautiful car you've ever seen?
Oh, undoubtedly.
This car, my goal with this car was to get it to bring a trailer as quickly as possible. Over the next couple months, there'll probably be an update video of like what it needed mechanically, what we did, and then straight to the video review of the car, where I'll tell you more about Avanti Studebaker as a brand and the pros of the car. I think it's a beautiful car, and I think you'd probably agree it's a super interesting car. And then we'll take it to bring a trailer, and then I'll probably do a garage talk after the sale. I do sell quite a bit on Bring a Trailer and just other auction platforms, or just auctions in general. That's it. I hope you subscribe. Thanks for watching.